Hi, this is Brad Peelan of eat.beat.com, and today I want to talk to you about metabolism, starvation mode, metabolic slowdowns, that sort of idea. I want to start by explaining to you why these ideas exist. And quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, they exist to stop you from losing weight. I'm not kidding. You see, I once read, and I'm actually going to read it off a cue card for you, that no one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. I should quote from Napoleon Hill. You see, these self-doubts that get thrown into our minds are just a way of preventing us from eating less to lose weight. Because they'd rather us try anything other than eating less. Anything, as long as it means keep eating. It's this self-doubt, this little tickle in the back of our head telling us maybe what we're doing is wrong. That's what defeats most of us in our weight loss efforts. So let's get rid of it. Let's look at what the research actually says about your metabolic rate and if it slows down when you lose weight. We can take an example of 6 women averaging weight about 190 pounds. They diet for 5 weeks, eating 500 calories per day. Pretty extreme, but hey, we gotta go to extremes to get answers. Over the course of those 5 weeks, they lose 16 pounds. As an average, they get down to about 175 pounds. About 175. Do their metabolic rates, their resting metabolic rates, slow down? Yes. Yes, they do. They go from approximately 1,500 calories down to 1,380. They lost about 120 calories worth of metabolic rate per day. 120. Large coffee, 2 cream, maybe a sugar. 120 calories. But see, they did lose 120 calories, but let's stop and think about what that means. After all, is this a result of losing weight causing a reduced metabolic rate, or was being obese causing an elevated metabolic rate? Okay, well first, let's look what the other research says. There was once a paper on 29 women who lost 50 pounds. At the end of that weight loss, their metabolic rate was around 1,200. There was another paper where 5 women lost 40 pounds. They were at 1,350 at the end of their weight loss. 19 women who lost almost 70 pounds were at 1,430 at the end of their weight loss. And 5 women who lost 25 pounds, 1,430. You're starting to see a trend here. They're all roughly in that same range, right? Now, what's that mean to you? I mean, they're all roughly in that 1,300 to 1,400 range as a basal metabolic rate. Do they all have completely damaged metabolisms? I mean, they've lost mass amounts of weight. These are all extreme diets. We're talking 500 calories per day. Nothing I would ever recommend you do, because it's boring. Well, what if you take those metabolic rates and compare it to 19 lean women, roughly the same age, who were about 125 pounds? All the girls I talked to you about, once they were done their weight loss, were still at around 150, 160 pounds. If you compare them to a group of women who are lean, eating whatever they want, within reason, obviously, ad libitum, however they want, maintaining a weight of about 125 pounds, you find that the women who were obese, who lost weight, and even saw a slowed metabolic rate, still had basal metabolic rates or resting metabolic rates slightly higher than these lean women. They were also slightly higher than women who were overweight, so around 150 pounds, but who were always around 150, as opposed to these women who were, topping 200, who had lowered themselves down to 150 pounds. In all these women, the resting metabolic rates were between 1,200 and 1,500, all within that range. So why is that? Because your resting metabolic rate is tied to your height and the amount of lean body mass you carry. And by lean body mass, I'm really not talking about muscle as much as I am talking about your organs. So yes, dieting can reduce your metabolic rate right down to where it's supposed to be. And even then, this reduction we're talking about, you've been led to believe it's a stop, it's a slowdown, it's a smashing, it's a stop dead in its tracks type of thing. 120 calories. In an extreme case, it's 200. These people aren't having metabolic rates dropping into single-digit numbers. I mean, the only time your metabolic rate truly stops is a medical condition we call death, right? So your metabolic rate, even if you're feeling a little sluggish or what have you, it's still well within normal limits, unless you have a medical condition we don't know about. Even if you're the extreme, even if you're a complete unique case, if your metabolic rate has dropped down to 1,000 calories a day, well, plus some activity thrown in there, your daily energy expenditure is probably 1,500, which means for you to lose weight, you probably have to eat around 1,400, maybe 1,300, depending on how true that total daily energy expenditure is. The point of this all is that your metabolic rate is not going to come crashing down as a result of dieting. Even extreme dieting of 500 calories per day, especially if you're resistance training. And let's keep in mind, I never want you to do 500 calories a day for a long period of time, because that's ridiculous. In fact, I prefer you to fast once or twice a week for 24 hours, and then eat like a normal human being for the other couple days. Enjoy your food. So you take the extreme case of 500 calories a day for 5 weeks, and you look at a much less extreme case, which is eat, and you see that your metabolism is not going to slow down. So a metabolic slowdown is not going to prevent you from losing weight. Eating too much will prevent you from losing weight, but a metabolic slowdown will not. So I'm Brad Pilon for Eat Stop Eat, trying to explain to you that people who are very obese actually do have a slightly elevated resting metabolic rate. And when they lose weight, get down to the overweight to even normal weight, they do see a small decrease in their metabolic rate of about 120 calories. Even if it was double that, it would be 240. Even if they lost 240 calories off of their resting metabolic rate, they'd still be well within the range of what we would consider normal at their new weight. And they'd probably still be slightly elevated compared to someone who's actually lean at the same age and height. I'm Brad Pilon, trying to put some common sense into the idea of starvation mode, your metabolic rate, how it can shift or swing, and its effect on weight loss.